good constitutional lawyer. Say anyway, they just want to go to us.
Council, quickly, campaign cost and Kennedy Agyapong campaign.
Ken campaign here. The good thing is that Ken team sustaining momentum now for January basically. Of course, I mean, the momentum is like a space within the media space and the grounds.
Okay.
Mean sustain here. I thought that week we were a better of kakra. But in the Ken's case, you know, I remember who said the campaign or running if we're ready. Then I go on side it will move. Will be a sebu nipa don't know to say yes on bass of once the asset, which in any event is not even true. Because now we don't go back with some radio say Kennedy as of that. That's what they do of them. So there be them say Mr. Miko praise we need him as of them. And the nipa be na one way be I the Anthony. Okay, bra Jesus Christ ra. I saw them ha now one more seem to and I saw them more to tata and they are marketplace or more to add on. He rebuked them. And the Ken adia all year adia Jesus Christ yes some few years ago, about 2,000 years ago, and one also repeat the same. Okay. But we have beyond that, and then for an can campaign. I saw for an can campaign.
Okay.
Papa was Pano, Bernard, no more, of so far Maquatam, and also for Ben Organa Ha, Ginny Tuma, own whom be being far Ken, say Ken and Yango Point the Eba. But the truth is, Bono, we are not banking all our hopes on prophecies.
Member horses here, who can be, sir. Kennedy Agyapong campaign no Efrain Coupon.
Yes, a divine.
One who be a Ghana for any NPP for young who go aspirants no a num and he as a spokesperson who can say Kennedy dear Efrain Coupon wha near Patrick say
Bono Ghana for a mebuno bre. Na ono esu agunyame so a ama baby edru ezu hwe manim say yes am presentation is
na some nya ba no afere me
na dey ebu ahwe no asere ase o ka no tim say akoyi kasa keke no dem mi kasa hwe men nsere o sira asa mo me kasa eduma na professional eduma na me we dey maybe December ya na ekwa atwa ohum na sofo baako ya na obuza mze na kwesi na school adwane school you know free SHS nwana na ya mo se saye no kra na se nya no kra mse open professional answer na se honest answer asi jam kwasa ke ka sofo na ndeti kasa
so quickly yeah why say free Yankopon
yeah the make can say Ken campaign for radical say Ghana for mabunu abrabo essay one more is where so na rade etie one more sufre and one mpaibo and he can match it but within the same 4 years and 8 years I will be a benya as a president no Nyankopon de Ken ebeye adwuma sonko ama man no enya ne fa ahodie ama mamu ane mabawa no so ultimately live the basic decent life I was say nipa bia timi de live bono ye mamu ha so me ma just an overview okay World Bank who say the election with the data election.
Yeah.
World Bank, one of my estimates say, bear 10 years from now. So, we're developing economies, to say be Africa, no, any Asia, part of Asia, no, near there. One must say, any pair better Juma, about 1.2 billion. Say Juma, bear 1.2 billion, if I a move 430 million, maximum bear 430 million penny benny Juma. 800 million of say human and nipa here no will not exist. A juma kro kra nya dey anyhow. Bonuti asem no. 800 million of say human kra nya dey anyhow. What the ba ye bibrem obi abeka say bi wiase asem nyina na ye dey ye ka. Do the emfama ya ye bibrem. What the ba Ghana ha. One must say unemployment rate 14%. John Beka say Ghana Statistical Service beka so yeah unemployment rate here dey for. Babusa ho say one mo ye adwuma no ye kind of crash ho pa. How did they survive? Because the same Ghana Statistical Service in World Bank Beka say Ghana for one year 80% one more salary no 3,000. Now 3,000 bunun kan oh high ban say single room you say. Timu amu mami you know one mami and sano. Oh ebi also call officially non-officially in a day. How do you survive? No what to petrol. Na sebio ubabonsa a year ebeba weekend mebo abekwa yi asoro obekwa obetwa tight obetwa so ayede edi. Nti wutimi say krum ha de is either we are magicians or we are doing something. Yeah, intimate kind of credit and country. Corruption, yeah, the eban. Now let's look at the remaining 20%. The remaining 20% required Ghana Statistical Service one required the live in abject poverty. In the emu etihano. nipa bibinya kakra ma omo sako ma no ko ehu omo so mo ye de escafo.
Okay.
Why? Because say the basic necessities of life ema nipa bia enya nkankro ema nipa bia ntimi nsanko na no enya de kese bia obo no say wo timi wa okuro mu ha bo no so ye adwuma 10 years 5 years na opeka also timi ye de etobi so ye adwuma 15 years na no ye mu kama katu ebuma na se fie kura wo se mutimi ye de etobi no ye ema mu he binya de anyhow ade ye basic wo bia ma binya de anyhow. So I've read other statistics and other researchers. One must say, in Korea national service, a batch or more national service, it takes a minimum of 10 years for half of that national service batch to get job. Other half will still be still searching. The other statistics say, grad 12 years could be a 12 2 pen or man bit more ejuma.
Let me say
10 yes, your life will literally
okay.
So nti abrabo en fatade normal people taking advantage, especially you can also call your babuna and on na ekoso ya memu ha. Nti baby ya edru memu ani so. Mabawa ni so. Enne nka ne no omoto omo ma me no mo nsase a ne aton no dey apply school no da kwata bochi. Enne kana dey apply kwa ya dey yemfa. Enne mu am apply me say memu an be apply no school no apply kwa ya dey yemfa because abrofo so hu say omo ba enye school bi no ombe ya dey ombeko obepe baby adwane afa odura na school waja no ahwase etwi ba. Nti omo so cry because a lot of people are just on the street. Out tiaboche so on tiaboche. So nti na me na etie ni pesu friend no ka cham say no. Kennedy why be pen. Akoma ekura Kennedy ene tema Kennedy ewo and the experience awanya ewo nyuma biebie mo the track record say bo mo biebie nyuma nipa at his own level for the time or shas ABC ne o hwa our track record say we na employment list ma or employ more than 7,000 people and the companies at the personal level they wetimaye na hwe nyina na say entrepreneurship no no ka say Asian model ade Kennedy be ya simple pay. He's not really coming to do any magic. Kennedy, for instance, say Zoom Lion to me for 10,000 workers. What Kennedy is coming to do is say, or be create Zoom Lion ma 1,000. And this will be half any part 10,000. I don't know say in terms 1 million workers.
Yeah.
Unemployment that's something. Say me more name about omu adwuma yo metwa tax. Omu twa tax you know the be road. Eyi yakwan the hospitals. Nti Kennedy ni nyina nyame de ne ba abebi enwuma ama Ghana for a day enya biaye. Nyame de Kennedy ba abebi enwuma ama party for a day enya biaye. No say Kennedy and star he has always been advocating for form more for na say for. Omo no come as mom. Ndi hwe election ya ekoya. Obi tu bi say asem panimfo no gina Dr. Bawumia and a form of no say dey ejina Kennedy. No kre obi kasa on team. Because mpanimfo no de wo na ne Dr. Bawumia buy for the past 16 years wo na our party ni mu a control no ma nti obi asebi wakwate wedi a wo ye de wo ka che so mepa ne nsasa ya na edi o mba koso ya de ejana chi na form of na wonu ba hu wo a de bia de san om ho na de so om na bi ha ebi kura che se bi nsofo mpo no wakode wo katama ya de afa bi ya de edi because ayi e de ama no you know mfa say you know adena twano wo ni wo no tenten nti eguma ebi kura nhwie mu no bi de afa
because critics can say factually you I may ask hard questions but
yes
to erase certain misconceptions into allow me to ask those critical questions. Critics can say omo follow Kennedy Wahine Agyapong no feel say omo di Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia echino a lawyer for kukudam for a bankers a kukudam for we a kukudam for and ye could dinner chikura noa sabi or we ne cry in your baby and share sape penetiana.
I don't think that is the case. Oh, Kennedy so a catch food in the tipa. Oh, Memua Kennedy Jumeya, lawyers and ground. One young professor be Desiree, one Munina or Ashasiha, or Munina came who young boys. Was it before the last elections or Quayano? I say yes on the Facebook net appears, because the establishment candidate was DMB, and there are no two ways about that. The establishment candidate, when a party for true do for in the but they say now a quad dame one who say no. Yamfa Kena ma Yahobeche be a intimi winning the general election 2028. Yankaso be intimi winning election NPP mo. But we are saying say if the conversation is 2028 there can stand tall than any other person. A lot of them have switched. Says the canoe near her. Kwaku ate one fine brain. Charles Horse and no near her. I mean the list can go Jojo a Rocky no more and omuna. So more fine young men muniade. Made to a semiso me nimni. Me nwa ko bia mo Professor Desiree no mu ne ade a me boy nti se no de na wo hwe nkofo kwa wono matedin a omo mpese omo be kasa say no entesa. But you see, every Obia election is a matter of strategy. Obia baby and who they the ewo. Where Dr. Baumia, the image our building say, or ye cratinia, as a one of the Bia. I mean that elitist pusher meboa but Ken so ho dey our building is one dey okase off oni obi oni bia asem ye dey emma no enti enye very odd so be hu say a phone for na bia ohunu so omunyo obia no omu dey kan ye dey echi because from the one omu na what say kom ntokwa ye dey emma omu Ken no ehunu say esro for oni didi ne bia munya bi ne on dey ontwe mo ase ofo no be kama asema ye dey ama omu nti ordinarily he will build the base there
okay
and a doctor no so no say ono so dey na koye ye economic lecture ye church adie mu so ye ko ha ye ma oso bia ba ku ya na so dey say the rich ideas who say ono so dey na koye say the middle class the class of people but baby to me no a form one a cell phone sovereignty resides in the people a phone for the Honor Kennedy no way there we go no phone ni
okay
so from ascend on Okusku and na CC for man nyamia pagya no abe private businessman no oboa no okun no ka party asem no okun party for ntokwa mo no we build a support base so when people say that they are not entirely wrong but context is also very important
so from where you sit you think say honorable Kennedy Agyapong and lead party no a bad day in the party between recapture power 2028.
No correct. The entire makers are say. We say NPP ya wabakosem. So ya bakosem ni na no. Osha fiti edubu ahen eba opani utin yi. Fiti edubu ahen ba besi Dr. Baumia so no. Obi a wanya kwanya asom NPP bia no. Ayo obi a yevosu no especially call first time no. Otimi di biye de account. And you Professor Dubu ahen. Ono kra no in spite of Sabre Rollins e hunu anomo ne ade nyina. Unso wonya 30% to 30.29%. Or call ye no a chief president for by over contest and President Kofo they call 30 for 30 no and they call 39%. Now from President Kofo 39%, no so President Kofo the crowd so by also by far from 39 they call 49%. So the first time no President Kofo the crowd will be free office crowd there. Or call ya the votes no e call ya to about 6.7 million votes.
Okay.
But all share in the history of NPP. Dr. Baumia kwa na ho de no you hear graph na cost on one the above form. And I mean records and the facts also on the data mind here now can watch your data. Me my data no my background why I think I can a bit my abano. Election no in 2024 no out of 16 regions no. When say move 15 regions NPP declining in votes compared to 2020. Me no ka say 9 regions na no out of 98 parliamentary seats no. And this woman 93 you move 5 for pay. Chasem ni yo. Nti ye baby e gina no enye baby e papa o. Your 4 regions squad here you need parliamentary rep. You will nipa close to 400,000 over 345,000 on mo kotoma parliamentary candidate no. Omo bi no mo hwe presidential candidate ni ye dey etutia no. Yen ka say e ono Dr. Baumia no ye dey wakoso. But sometimes you can be in a certain circumstance na yes obetwe ho ye esinchen
but we say Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia ka say the data but then you so the data go up ah
I say say data election here running just say a data election here running 100 and election kwaya no you 276 constituencies 276 constituencies no say John Mama win mu 199
okay
199 Dr. Baumia lose 199 Joshua nipa constituencies and the rejection rate was about 72% rejection rate nti election election say yakwana party na anya it goes beyond party na anya it also shows say the popularity of the candidate
council facha me honanka me ba ne say
yes
NPP as a political party ne lose ya na say the candidate no a or frontier lead NPP and my party in Lusu.
The popularity of every candidate counts. What I say? The popularity of every candidate counts. I remember example, President Akufo-Addo. Okay, 2016 or thereby, 2020, they are accusing this work good banks. 2016, from 2016 by 2020 election, they are accusing this work good banks. They are accusing this work good galamse. So okay, but yes, still, the voter share equals more than time about 2016 election or the Onyayen. So, over 5.6 or 6.7. So it should say sometimes a candidate matter. If a candidate doesn't matter, there, now saying about obey. If it is a party, there is the same party now. But President Akufo-Addo then any munyam, any GD, the trust, the confidence that people have in his personality, any credibility and all about their man. The whole party slogan was even revolved around him. To the sense, say, in your case, 4 more for Nana. Meanwhile, Nick bit make us 4 more for MPP. In doing the Minipani book, so, Okas MPP, I don't so MPP, the Kufa and appointees in Anya day, Armoire, Bakufa, or Yade. So it was not nice popularity and at the end, Ekoi. But in the case of the Tabaumi, I just say, be our year or Yenny Pabonium. But don't say penny for crackers in so cry to me 32 years of having been in the party no. Emu 16 years na wanya kwanya de aso. Nti nipa no bisu say nim de ne adwen pone ahoden ne bibia wo som nyina within 16 years there. We lead the party there what my de ayewie. Nti nipa no bisu so ye kwa na ye de gyanchen. For instance, ebi as nipa to tier party on the ground on the basis of economy. It is not a case say wo economy no be na wo vice presidential candidate na economy na onya de onka ho. Buniti assembly you because on the for instance on the economy no Mahama at the dollar no eba 1:4 meboa ana wo ade a wo ko school ekusua ho nim dia nim se wonim ho nyansa eye ho PhD or Canada eye the economy oba na may not even be you but circumstantially no na e kwa around by 17 4 to 17 the how then do the people look into your face so who enim catch us say 17 was better than John Mahama and even as a matter of strategy no na sometimes even better say any sadia okura no say ye wu so nya wu e ma ugina nche ne ma obi fufuro a nkofo fasade na nya de enchechire no edinanim kwa ye de na 16 years the ideas bi a wo bi a why de why enipa no musu say the party ni nhire bi a wo mu ni adodode bi a na bi a mo so no nkofo why de onya bi the sadia e bi kwa aka mo twem ho mo bi so ye de e ba ya nke no so be de ebe yi nti it's not really about say be a Dr. Baumiano and Kofota and answer he just say a poor candidate. No. But sometimes even the circumstances around him a baby and in now compared to Ken.
Okay.
Say Ken the Nkofo Jinidi. So now and then show be or say one present or so Dr. Baumia is not a liar. Me wo GDS Dr. Baumia on your trophy. But what was the circumstances around that election? The circumstances around the 2024 election, that was the image they portray about him. So no be or beer or casem or this one. And the probably break us higher man. In that circumstance, and so coalition our candidate what building the trust and credibility and conform the agility. It's what can your can of cray. Can your can adrin. Can your way on your day on trimau. Can your who could do. Fernando a year koya blackman for a day koi. So na blackman for a koya just 19 police in Kofoko de Kuchify. People started talking. Say a camp park as I'd be Kenya de NC. And what we are saying is say Abribia ni leader Nyankopon yede eyiniba after 16 years and all over the world there was even a poor strategy. Only 3% of vice president paid the team associate my boss all over the world. Yes, so we're going into that election says yeko. And we are not saying say onye any papa, but what we are saying is wabasum and on the dia 16 years ago they also be aware or heavy. Sometimes even in the spirit of revival you need a new face. Okay. Say your question be maybe a presby ungo be down. Maybe go presby. You'll be a friend of revival and Kenya some. Yeah. So that it first of all go free different dioceses the near day. Yeah. And they say be a also for no. But when you want ma familiarization that the abem and to watch only nti to the mo bi ba no abede obe Kenya mo nti sa no wani nyina de ewo ho but na no bu aso wo hwe yesi Kennedy say wa mi ofre yesi Kennedy bi o so Kennedy ano asem ene ade na may lose election ne ade na bi enti sa we see there comes a time where we need to own up to responsibilities ne ka no kra che ho say achia ne mui by the senior bebo nyina the see no ankoi but I take ultimate responsibility and I'll fix it. That's what we have to do. But
as a spokesperson for Kennedy Agyapong, when you say we part of the NPP lose 2024
I reject that. I mean someone Joe and when me tie me offer or say chairman sabonso I feel you say we almost starting almost Kennedy na ma you lose here I mean someone Joe Kennedy started aside from Edubo Ahembro. Sir, one of the idea of modern accused Kennedy pass or friend NPP from Kwasiafo and then this is for boy. Marin Kancho Okano 2015. And the bra mia penny Gabia Saracha Dako. And that's Santibedia to President Akufo-Addo Safuma for Mokwe meeting Kufudia party ni a record one family NPP station. No, the record coma a pro NDC station, more day, a coboy. Nankade a how can see a better and for the atim for the entem. Kennedy nisika na ye party hu na ye ne ya no sinipa se bi wage me from kwan na be yes ade adewi in that context, I think the year 2015. 2015, no. Sa Bernard no kai impa we living within a certain context, no. Omo patch say 2015, ntimi ama Akufo-Addo and lose 2016. But now ma 2024 mom na Dr. Bawumia be dey lose. It can be logical. Ti asem no, bono. Se Kennedy anuma asem, Kennedy enipa, onye saint, what I say. Enoma ni bi wo ha ye behunu so ke bi o kan se na o kan se ke be dey beboa. But enoma no mo se Kennedy ke kan ya ma lose election, bono. DDP Kennedy na koka ho asem. DDP nye Kennedy na koka ho asem. Sa na kofo ya be 2 years ya ntwe mu kai eno Kennedy na koka ho asem. Ne Kennedy na koka ho asem. Galamsey fight ya na atwetwere ya buya na ho asem ka ya de Kennedy na koka ho asem. Nye Kennedy na koka ho asem. So there are a lot of factors that affect here. When the dollar move from 4 to 17, you know, abuso kan fo su obi esu ordinary people so petrol near tutu no Kennedy no asem na koka. Ene Kennedy no asem. So I don't think say we should maneuver the truth and run away from it. Say because Kennedy is all contesting, all of a sudden, no asem. Hey, now no asem na made me lose election there. Then he should as well be a very powerful person. But no money be high. Yakika as a party anya the uncle ya the arma yom. Yen fan che Agyapong and me bono no kre say sansom we na no. If say asase na no Kenya Dr. Bawumia na no say obe party we. Asase na no jina mu ka say oh me na modem kwa akon no me na me di animu. The TBA say ku you say anye you I take responsibility. Enya Akufo-Addo na anye we. Enya Gabi na anye we. Enya Kennedy na anye we. Enya Dutum na anye we. Say the nipa bia wa anye ne bibia ye kura me na me di akona ne me ne nipa wa re o me di akona ne ntini nyina me Dutum Agyapong mo mfa nche na de aka nyina be kan hu obom ne aye ni am sure say ke nru ho. Say ke ye hyase sa akura ka enya de ke nru. But the koba say oh ye tu fu amu kura na
and this a chopa no Kennedy Agyapong hu ni say a right step na Dr. Alhaji Bawumia will take his over patrol say party na nyade into a monfancha na because honorable Dutum about one thing abetu ga say wo panacho one panacho because any sector via and na ahode
I think say time no the be patch on na chopa no I questionable nipa nim bebre be so say oh say nye genu na wo tena ho ye to aba we ne
Dr. Alhaji Bawumia a chopa na nye genuine apology.
Time no emma na nye genuine emma no susu say genuine. O ko pe your news card o be na time no say na me ka say kedikan na wo hwe ya o hwe kan ho asema but don't say dikan no it was more of a blame game. Okay, say you call thank you to on yes Akufo-Addo you to petrol mu onim ni ade eche mo say Kennedy Agyapong na cause so you defeat eche ko mo say Kennedy Agyapong anu asem mo say it went here it went there but I'm saying say ka obi a o kan ntemo a Kennedy Agyapong be de ebeba but when ebeka be 3-4 months election na be say o pa acha dia eno de nipa ni bi so say bia ni acha o pa o pa no wo mo ebe hu se bia nyigini but I mean whichever we say is better late than never also pacho or pacho say nipa ni bia acha chere madwe say na no me hwe me nwa pani Gabi ono so chere na adwen de e wo ho me so obi a chere na adwen ho nti wo hwe acha pa na enye party fo ni bebre na ne hwe ye pacho a acha pa ni mu no emma obi anya impression say obi foforo na aye bone na enti na wo pacho no that's not how we do it ye pacho to take responsibility ti asem ni yo ye pacho to take responsibility ye pacho to apportion blame patriotic ti assembly you your part to take responsibility. We don't apologize to apportion blame.
But apportion blame na.
Oh, say background no ho. O hwe nsem akoswa o we na ye say we na minim aha na menye say aha na menye say ya. So I say nkofo bi susu say the campaign you call for more who say campaign no. What say ya to zoom campaign ya to zoom na ma. I say sa chopa na ye eba. But I mean whichever way is o penny was o part wa yate. Ya dem pa bota na chi.
Right, I was about who say critics need be me so critics are you understand it from where you are coming from. Critics need be say NPP kase chinchina chin akani ana say yedene ba e dangerous ma NPP 2028 obi ti say onabo say che men sabunsu odna no atum say e be unfair say yenya sremni famanu siye na wa baba ko ne be ka say yi na si nchen ne e di akani aba because akani dia wokufo ba ye premier nu mampanyi na nado ba ye premier nu nti den ne bedru and den ne bedru Dr. Alhaji Bawumia so a ye be ka so akoba kwa nye yi a yemfa NC enchen issue ne ye akani siremni ana awunani ana bununi ana issue ne ye den kwasi kwate
mono kure se sa asem no se nye video na mehwe ya ka min ndisa nda se honorable say chairman sabons na ye de e kan unse ono no ebuo kwan so no be bia me de no toto no e wo soro pa o e party pani pa nti insani bi wo ha bia it smacks divisive comments not to mince words insani bi wo ha nya sema e de nkabom ye de eba e de papamu entity mu ne papamu na ye de eba nti no ordinarily you would have expected say nko obi kura nka na ono momu nya de entwi na adwin so say sa asem we ye nya de ye nka bono ma mu so asem last election say e call ye no na kanfo ni wona dota ba me to abaye de hema no ase wono mo koye kra ma na yesi say de it's almost criminal to be an akan hey na ho na yesa last election koye na kanfo ho ana ye nyina ebo mu koto abaye de e ma dota ba me because adabre no me hu say on na betime di party na nima de de yakọ but bono masema me wo kan we asem we hu ne e tiawa masema me wo kan nyina na say party no ye hia obi a obetimi a winnable candidate can the four betimi age akoya na de amaye somebody who can win 2028 for us. We need a winnable candidate. We don't need a candidate because of his ethnicity. You hear winnable candidates and not necessarily an account candidate. What I say? Indeed, no many people why I didn't papa munin mu ba.
And from when you are coming, mu de nya kan sem.
No, you hear winnable candidate. No, me say last elections, no. Last elections, nti na kanfo no ne to abama sremni. Say NPP say only about a sremni ni akanfo asama. We are not fighting. We are not competing for anything. O mani nye sremni na die so. So this answer na say can anytime bia no we use it as a weapon near the incite one people against the other no nya de hu ye de ehia se see awo ka se kwan bia ye hia esemuni indirectly that's what he say you know nkofo so aka bono nkofo so aka say bia semuni efiri ho a wo de another semuni ba bia Ghana fo nye de enyini ntunti bi na no yante say bright champion starting the campaign ka say achimni ko achimni ye nye de ema enti wo kaka saa na nkofo eso kode de saa nsensem ne yiwa no a ene na ma saa politics of division ne tribal ethnic policy near the eba into where the no sebio or say chairman sabons or ye penimu adwobro ye say that divisive comments no and the remarks onyai eye the eka NPP is more interested in getting a winnable candidate. Dr. Baumia is saying na bono yenka say Dr. Baumia because he's a bia an ordinary. No, we are saying say the performance the track record of the course election ye de ku bi o emwa party no be a party ni jina emwa won't mean to me the MIA. We just want a strong candidate and not an account candidate. We want a strong candidate, not a northern candidate. We don't care maybe any party the free. All we need is say nipa kwa de rebano or the mu do betima de agitumi de amaye. This akasa na kasa boni bekase. I mean it's fit for discussion and it's fit to come from somebody of his status. No.
Dr. Alhaji Mahmood Bawumia ba bontin dia betu dwa say se kase ne suma wosom sebi manu de sumina so. Ade ya me pese me ka ho asem yesa no ma we but enkomodie nti ni nkomo. Se ne suma wosom e ka ho bi na ema MPP lusu ya na sebi woni bi mo critics enya adwen because or outperform me 236 Christian MPP parliamentary candidate PC for and tisamo ka se waye nkramoni nti Ghana for anto aba ma no a woni mo nya.
First of all, my answer in two stretch, and I want to be on record. The way the main candidate, I'm sure the show is ending. First of all, Obien who are Kasa or Muslim untina or lose elections, and I'm not sure Obetima pointed to anybody with certain evidence as Messiah and Oben and Kabisa. It's speculative.
Okay.
Secondly, that logic now advance, and of course the example I will borrow to sustain his argument and it's faulty. It is not true. Say. Or at for more 236 candidates. Patriotin you. Just a fleeting comment and fleeting analysis no the make here. And not true. 236 candidates, he didn't outperform them. Do you know why? The whole 276 candidates, our file, 89 pay. They didn't outperform more 236 candidates. Now, let me give you the trust of the matter. The 236 candidates no mere Christians. It is not a case say they were contesting with NDC Muslim pieces. NDC has also filed 215 Christian candidates. So the Christian candidates that were competing for the pieces, they were 91%. And other than the Christian candidates are competing among themselves, assuming without admitting that religion is an issue. Effectively, no, religion will not be an issue because we are Christian and now we are PC and I'm NDC and I'm Christian and I'm PC and I'm NPP. There wouldn't be anything as religion. Now, TBU. I didn't know that Mama Dubamia or then who compare presidential candidates and then who compare the own pieces. Is he contesting them? You are not contesting your own pieces. What I say, we own parliamentary candidates. How do you compare yourself to them? Who opponent is John Mahama? He's a Christian candidate. And if you want to play religious cards, you compare yourself to John Mahama, and then the parliamentary candidates then compare themselves to the parliamentary candidates. On what basis? Now presidential candidates who compare who to be parliamentary candidates. And that the parliamentary elections, what the elections and the presidential elections and parliamentary elections and presidential elections are not the same. Factors that influence parliamentary elections and they're the same as factors that influence national elections. My more example, also they be offer in T for Joe, Reverend T for Joe, so Reverend T for Joe cry or ye Christian Poco or so for cry, but there were other dynamics of course. Reverend T for Joe, he had an independent candidate. What is that about Miaka Wazemla? And then the one for Ankahu. What I say, so the parliamentary elections are local elections. In any event, 91% of them that were contesting were all Christians, both NPP and NDC. In the other now, who compare and contest already, they were both Christians and there was nothing like religion at the parliamentary level. What I say. And so even if people are accusing you, say, religion can affect you at the national level, the best comparison for Dr. Bawumia to do, so the people will not accuse him for maneuvering data and making fleeting analysis should have been someone comparing him to John Mahama and not to his own pieces because he was not contesting the pieces. This is our logic, Kennedy. I mean, from the data man, I'm surprised. Unless, of course, it will be the AC. But let me make a correction. Let me make a statement. It is not to suggest to say, can say he was affected by religion. Babuno, no can say any part that's any TV. A lot of factors affect our behavior, including voter behavior. We are affected by our tribe, our environment. What I say, Bebu how Ribu ha, Usebu home Kubida. Boy, Uncle Ega Unte say Rebuza. Ye was Sumbu ha, Wabusia Okomo Maunya de Uncomuda. It affects us. And if you want to be sit here and be dismissive about it, maybe we may try two Muslim candidates from the same tribe in the north, near Fanko elections. Maybe we will still want to experiment. What I say. Let's be very frank to ourselves. One the Kobo Panetia, or then the right out, and Mbappe or right out to the left in the Kobo. Who does that? NDC for almost set a trap, and Mayan. Yan can't change this for say, so almost pass ante for Sema, or Munko Fast Antinio Flabera. Yan can't almost pass ante for Sema, or Munko Fast Antinio Flabera. Near here, Monso election, but some don't know or more account for. Omo no so mo pack and for nyina asem omo pass ante fast so omo do account for do asante for one monko kuma sen for bi yon flabera party ayeto about 1592 NPP Asante region to my NPP voter region to my NDC. Why do you say this is influence here? What does it? I mean
it play key role.
It plays a role, but you see we've learned to live harmoniously with each other. Intinya dia we want to promote, but we cannot pretend say now that Dr. Bawumia why campaign one say oka say who refuse oka say John Mahama ye Ninya no na obeko 4 years na ono wo chance so 8 years na say the John Mahama ba 4 years another not the team maybe. These are comments that were made. One this oka say okọ obenya zongo votes aba. What I say? The day because we don't want NDC people to accuse us say impaired Lordness ahead the asem. The other now because say be a you to clear certain perception. Then after the election, such perception automatically cannot be discussed.
And to me, pretend this ethnicity in play role.
We can deceive ourselves that ethnicity and religion doesn't play a role. But I'm saying say ethnicity and religion influences voter behavior and it influences everything. There could be circumstances beyond that. But to catch them say, yeah, this is here take. Hey, what VIP station da?
Okay.
What VIP station? Bus is 102. One would driver need them on bomb passing a ministry and driver on Waku Square, a train is a driver. Yes, in a ministry and in free and on some Holy Spirit meditation for Monko. We are people of religion. So why are you pretending to ourselves say religion doesn't affect us, religion doesn't does anything? Mamisha young girl, we call her out here. So be a on your religion. I'm got. I saw him sometimes. I saw him crying. You know, Christopher. Would you got also yes the new year presby? No arena. The bush of one the emperor.
Different denomination.
Different denomination. Kekebe amuye Christopher. And nobody is punishing him so ye cremonintia. No, that's not what we are saying. But if he wants to advance an argument to say religion and ethnicity has an influence in voter behavior, if you want to do a pure academic exercise there, then I disagree with him. And especially in the example, come and say, or 236 Christian in pieces, let him know, say that he was not contesting the 236 Christian pieces. He was contesting John Mahama. And that 236 Christian pieces, their opponents, 215 of them were also Christians. So there was nothing like religion that played at the parliamentary level. And so that argument is null and void. Wait, they can hear you. It's that the terrain now, you know, some or did that about the no, or the bar, me and discussing. Intellectual community and discuss it.
That's all you better say. But final question, I know a very hard question, and I wish it's on because you're too early. Kazo.
Obi the message be about
Sir Kennedy or Agyapong to me winning Nyame Adom 31st January 2026. Obe pese Obefa Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia as running mate. Mimi Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia made a question back you know. Every day 31st January 2026. Now Wakasa Wafa Kennedy as running mate. Obepese running mate. Simple question here, sorry.
I think that decision is at their level. Now they are two responsible adults. I to make such decision. But inside the way, so be our vision. Oh, it's not really about.
But to you as a spokesperson,
me sure say no. It's just really about getting a position. Omo vision that they want to come and implement.
Okay, but so and vision also contribution is very important.
And you know that about me as advice. I'm not here. Want to be that. Okay, as best advice be on you. Obi advice 8 years or say, and maybe we know him. No, okay, as command advice be over. I think his vision he can well implement it as the president of the country.
Because not the vice.
Maybe the future will decide, but I am so convinced that he can implement it as the president. Or me sure say vice or so bit my.
Man, I say, and I know you be man here me fair, which is a me bo abaso.
Yes.
And about to me sorry and me call page. We are no post to Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia. Keep it up.
Me penasemu na me penasemu but I say 2020 we know I boss no cost pa me penasemu na say 2028 na me susu say no de na ho de no ko onye statement no mfa nimde no we so rich ideas ba oh we say rich ideas na ko the touchy special experience ni ade no aha me de me ogide say doctor na nkasa kra de ko nya ko obepe ne ba bi atra na we say to da stakeholders interested parties no. Oh, nee, Germany, you now say at the agro for some if you point, you can be with the echo. Oh, I hear 20 baby, I can do him baby echo. I've done it.